Okay, I'm making this video just to kind of go over first generation S10 door panels, more specifically the 82 through 85, because 86 and on is when the big changes came. They changed the door panels, they got rid of the muscle car style dash. And basically, here's what's going on, okay? The ones that came with my truck were absolute shit. And they had been rigged beyond all belief to where they're not even worth restoring, right? So, for about 5 years now, you know that cheap shit that you see all over the place? The replacement ones, the ABS plastic? I had those on, which I am not happy with them. We'll get back to those in a minute. So, I needed the stars to line up, and I needed door panels to pop up on eBay or wherever at the same time that I had the fucking money in my pocket. It happened. Had the money in my pocket, got the fucking door panels, $250 plus shipping later. At any rate, they're blue, so I'm either going to paint them black or keep an eye out for a black pair, because really I'd like to resell them because it just sucks to paint these. You know, I mean, I might make a video on painting them. There's a special way to do it, but even then it's not the same as, you know, the durability that you get when they're not painted. Off topic. Anyways, here's what's going on. The guy listing them just, you know, shows them as an 82 through 85, S10, S15, Blazer, Sonoma, etc. Which makes sense, right? You go to fucking Rock Auto, or not Rock Auto, LMC truck, and it's shit all interchanges. Well, they didn't fit initially, okay? As you can see, it's test fitted. No clips, just the door crank. But here's where the plot thickens, right? Now here's the driver's side. I had to modify one of them to get it to work. And before I modify this, I decided I'd make a video. Maybe it would help somebody if they're going through this situation. Or maybe somebody's been through this and can enlighten me on what the fuck's going on. So, behind the door crank, you see these little plastic stanchions that are built in there? That doesn't fucking cut it. Because what happens when I put them on my vehicle, where the window crank comes, the tip of my finger there, pretend like that's the window crank, absolutely perfectly fucking flush with that hole. Okay? Now, for me to get mine to fit, I literally had to take my buddy, cut that fucker off, and then smooth it out a little bit. Both of them, okay? Upon doing that, I fit. Now, it's not a perfect fit because this recesses more. At least I don't have stock panels to compare it to, or my old stock panels. But at least to my replacement ABS ones. Now, you could see a slight bulge here, but you really have to look at it. It's not too bad at all. But as you know, to get these clips off, if I can get in here without blocking too much light, you know you got to push on the door, right? To be able to get the tool in there and for the clips. With those stanchions on the door, there was absolutely zero play. Like nothing. Like not even the slightest bit. And this is not my first rodeo. So I ended up having to whack those off. So maybe somebody could tell me why that's on there. If your stock 82 through 85 S10 or S15 had these. If it's just a Blazer thing only, Blazer Jimmy thing, I don't know. When I look up stuff, everything's the same. I thought, okay, maybe they got longer cranks on the Jimmys. It's the same. I thought, okay, maybe the later Jimmys, instead of having the clip, actually, you know, had a bolt with a cosmetic little plug. Couldn't find that either, so I have no fucking clue. I'm baffled. All I know is I had to whack these off, which I really hate doing, because like these panels are immaculate. So I'm literally fucking with something that's like a unicorn. And that makes me sick. But trust me, before I cut them, I looked at every fucking angle I could because I did not want to do that. And I had to do it. But as you can see, there's a good little channel down there. Why that bulges out, I don't know. I mean, maybe whatever this came off, there were slots to help line things up where this was slotted in the door, which I thought about doing, but I didn't want to cut my door. But I could have done that. I could have put some grease on the back and put it on, except for it probably would have rubbed around as I fought to get this in position. Anybody who's ever done these knows they don't just pop right on without fucking with them. But at any rate, now that I got past that, for anybody who wants to see what I'm going to show you here, first off, look at that, part numbers. So I'm the 1405-8183 blue. I almost didn't want to give that information out, but I'm going to be a nice guy and I'm going to give that information out because guess who wants the charcoal ones? Fucked up thing is you try to Google those numbers and it's non-existent. So I don't know. I mean, I haven't dug that far. You would think Google would have put me to like, you know, GM Giant or whatever those fucking GM specific companies are, but I may go into the dealership and see what they got. Maybe they got something on microfiche. But that's kind of nice to have. You know, the 82 through 85, they're the unicorns. You know what I mean? It's hard to get shit for them. It's the 86 and up that, you know, everything's abundant. So I'll go ahead and share that. But this is really high quality. That's what I really like about these. Like this is almost zero deflection. They're just tough and durable. The only thing I do not like about these is they're not the deluxe ones that would have had like the cloth or vinyl or whatever they did. You know, there's different variations. Maybe a prettier trim piece in here. I know a lot of people fuck this up. They want to like screw diamond plate on. Don't do that. Leave the fucking panels nice. But I figured, you know what? Even though this is more utilitarian, it's more durable, it's less to go wrong, it's paintable. Which, what is the company? DEP, I think. I'll tell you what, I'm going to paint these this summer, because right now it's December. And when I do, I'm going to do a video on it, because there is a certain way to paint these so they don't start flaking on you. When I do post that, I will add to the crotch box of this video the name of that video and that it's posted. So if I haven't done that yet, I haven't painted them yet. But I think I'm going to paint them. But like I said, I'm going to wait. If from probably now to March or April, I can't find black ones or something I like better, these are going to get painted. Because I'm black on black other than the blue door panels. And the dash, which is out. Which when my dash goes in, boo, that's a hard one. Do I want to go purple? Or do I want to go black? I kind of think a purple dash would really make this thing pop. Especially with two-tone black and purple bench seat. But as you can see on these dashes, I mean, they're just, that right there is so thin. It's like 2 mils thick. And not millimeters, like garbage bag mil. Like, I don't even know if I could get in there with the right lighting. But it's just, it's pathetically thin, like a sheet of paper. Look at that. Actually, you know what? I'm glassing this up anyways. Let me just show you how thin that is. Isn't that fucking crazy? Like, seriously? I know that the S10s were economy trucks, but really? Like, you're thinner than my fucking fingernail? I don't know. But at any rate, what I will show you for anybody who's thinking about buying the eBay J.C. Whitney special, let me throw it over here. That's what I initially rolled with. And you know, these fuckers are expensive, man. I think back when I got them, they were like $175, $200, and I think the last time I saw on eBay, I think they were selling for like $200 a piece, and that's a lot of fucking money, man. They're shit. I mean, it's only 5 years. It's not like I'm super rough on my shit. But I mean, everything. I mean, there's just no quality. They're extremely flexible. I mean, there was a crack. That was just from like, you know, normal opening and closing the door, everything put on right. There's little stress cracks everywhere. I mean, I like the pocket, But once again, there's cracks there. And I mean, part of that, the trucks are so small that when you got this, it's literally resting right up on your fucking ankle. So, I mean, that could have been me. Not that I'm like kicking it with my ankle, but I mean, they're just absolutely shit. Like, I mean, if they were fucking 35, 40 bucks a piece, okay, maybe. But 200 fucking bucks? And I'm telling you, if you go this route, you're going to have to keep replacing them. Unless if it's a garage queen. I daily drive my shit, so I need something durable. But let me flip it over here. It is just so fucking cheap. I mean, even this right here, I don't know if you could see. Look at that. I'm not even pushing that hard. I can't do that on the other ones. Like, this is already starting to crack right there just from... I mean, it's just from removing it. It's so fucking shitty. ABS plastic. Same thing as the dash cover. Like, I got them separate, but you'll see a lot of people on eBay selling them together. And that's what I used to have on my dash, because as you could see, the person before me was a fucking asshole. Granted, I started glassing it, but it was all fucked up. And when I get this thing glassed, I need it to get warmer. I wanted to do it, and it was too hot, and I didn't want to sweat on it. And literally one week it was 90, and the next week it was like too cold to do it. That's how fucking Arkansas weather is. But I basically painted everything but what the cap went on. But this thing too, I mean, this fucker's 200 bucks. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, granted, okay, it's got to be thin because it's a cap. But I mean, couldn't you maybe taper it on the edges and give it some meat? And I mean, it's just so thin. It's better than nothing. I didn't glue mine down. I mean, I guess if you glued it down, it would probably work better. But another thing that sucks about these, and let me turn it around here so it's facing the way it would if you're in a car. The way this curls over, you can't really trim it. Because, I mean, that recesses back a good 1.5 inches, okay? Your glove box doesn't want to open. Now, I had to pinch it to open the glove box. But even if I glued that, you'd probably have to use like liquid fucking nails or something with C-clamps. Because even when you're squeezing it, it still rubs. It still catches. I couldn't fucking stand it, man. So it's like, here I am. I'm out $300-400 on shitty door panels, $200 on a fucking dash pad. So, I mean, you know, anybody doing that with an 82 to 85 S10, just know what you're getting into. You know, this is one of those situations where you get what you pay for. I mean, I got my 5 years out of the shit, but I would have been better off just early on saving that money, I think, and watching eBay. Because as the years go by, it's getting harder and harder to get that shit. You know what I mean? I think that's all I have to show you. But yeah, this will work. I just had to grind those suckers off. Pisses me off. You don't realize how much I hate manipulating rare stock parts. I mean, that just makes my fucking blood boil. It really does. Not to mention, I don't like to go to custom. You know, custom is one of those things where you love it because you're doing it, but somebody else wants to do it differently. That's why shit never sells for the same amount when you do custom work. Everybody wants it stock, naked. They want to fuck with it. They want to make it their artistic creation. But I actually just like stock. I appreciate it. It's hard to have stock. These things have been so molested and so changed that to have one that's stock is just, I don't know. But yeah, please, if you know, if your vehicle has these, or even if, you know, you're in the process of doing your 82 through 85, see if your stock door panels, if you have them, if they have these stanchions, because I really want to know. It absolutely fucking baffles me. So, thanks, YouTube. Have a good one. Figured I'd clip in a tip. A lot of times, by the time you get to this, somebody else has already not put the plastic back on the door. The stock plastics kind of had that little bit of tar bead seal. Well, I don't know if it's tar, like a bottle. But at any rate, I'm doing mine kind of half-assed because in a few months I'm going to rip it back open. But a tip there, I used the 2 mil Wally World Walmart painting plastic drop cloths. The 2 mils, the thicker stuff. The 0.7's really, really, really thin. But that works pretty good. It's got a really decent size to it. I guess if you found a large enough garbage bag, you could probably take a 50-gallon, cut it in half, and, you know, it's not rocket science. But what I did want to add, a good tip if you're doing this and you're going to put it on for a while, a lot of people I've seen using shower curtains. You get the clear shower curtains, and not only are they pretty thick, but if you get a good one, it's got the mold release agent built into it, so you don't have to worry about any molding or anything. But I just threw mine up really quick, basically taped it from the top, trimmed it all around, framed it out with tape. I didn't wipe the metal down first because I didn't want it to stick too good. The regular duct tape, this is Scotch that I just so happen to use. It sticks pretty good even with the dusty, you know, non-clean metal that I'm sticking it to, and it sticks really good to that 2 mil plastic. And then I just popped a little hole there. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the foam piece and the armrest retainer. Okay, I went ahead and threw the foam on. These little plastic clips, oh, where did it go? Okay, I broke one. Don't be like me and be too lazy to poke through the hole. I tried to push through the hole, and 40-year-old plastic didn't like that, so I fucked up. But at any rate, other than this tab here, this tab, and this tab, which you can, you know, get that in the help section at the auto parts store, you're going to have these two. And if by any chance you're missing those, they're a metric 6-1.0. And it's 10 millimeters long with a washer. And that's not 10 millimeters after the washer. That's 10 millimeters from the head of the bolt. I got lucky. I remember I had a stash of these. I grabbed shit like that when I'm at the junkyards. Still got to get this one though. Okay, I'm putting the door panel inner Beltline rubber pieces on. When I did the rest of the S10, I summarized it all in the one video where I kind of reviewed it, because Precision's got videos, other people's got videos. I don't see a need to make videos, and I'm on a time crunch. But I wanted to do a video on this one because this is the first one I've had that didn't really work out the way Precision made it to. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of their videos, it's like they fucking wing shit. They don't show shit, but it's like this one's kind of shitty because basically in their video, which I'll link now, when they show these pieces, which let me go back here. Now, first off, they're the same part number, okay? They don't have a right and a left. So that right there should be like ding, 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 ding. Number two, you're going to put it from what, 92 to 94 or whatever the fuck the range is. I think it said on there. Well, it didn't. I'll put it now. But at any rate, what's the probability all the holes are going to be the same in all those years, right? And then the driver and the passenger, you know they're not going to be the same. If anything, it'll be a mirror image. So I knew it wasn't going to fucking work the way they did it. Which also means I know those motherfuckers pre-drilled holes for the pilots. Which is this little piece right here. Because they say, oh, just hold it with the little fucking pilots in there, and then you can fucking drill out your holes with the number 30 drill bit and use a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 inch rivet Yeah, really fucking nice. So now I got to figure out, because it's hard to hold it because there's no holes for this. And I'm not going to make holes for that because I want to play with it a little bit and maybe even hold it in place and put it in the door and try to see, because basically it doesn't like come to the end where I know exactly where it should be. Either I got to center it with some of this hanging out, or I'm going to have to put it more to the right or more to the left. I'm going to have to fuck with it. Precision doesn't show you that. They want to sell you the fucking part. They're going to make it look like 1, 2, 3, like your fucking drunk grandma can do it. You know? I sound drunk. I'm fucking tired and I got a headache and I'm pissed off because I hate when shit's not simple. You know, just fucking make it right. Make it for the first gen up to 82 to 385. Then make the first gen revision 86 through 92. And then do your, you know, I mean, come on, man. The fuck? Like, you're not making enough money that you can't just fucking... I mean, everybody, it's fucking capitalism. But at any rate, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my pick tools along with a little flathead. And you can see that you can pry those out. There's only 2 of them. So that's step 1. Let's take those 2 out. Okay, I do have to give them credit. It's a pretty good steel clip. I mean, the tabs don't effortlessly bend up like the tabs when you go to do this piece, okay? The run channel or whatever the fuck it's called. But yeah, that wasn't easy to pry up. It wasn't hard, but it wasn't easy. I just pried up one and then took my long nose and basically walked the dog and busted it off, and it's nice and flush. Now what I wanted to show you, those are stock panels, 82 through 85, okay? And again, we don't know what year they might fit. They might fit a certain year beautifully or a certain range, except for, like I said, if you don't have 2 different part numbers, like fucking hell are you going to have holes lining up. It's possible, but highly unlikely. So, especially if this trim doesn't fit center and if it goes more to one side or the other. Or I should say more to the front or more to the back. To be continued on that. Now what I wanted to show you, here's an old cheapy panel, okay? Because I got, you know, new OEM, well, new used eBay OEM door panels. So I'm fucking, you know, I did all my weather stripping and shit. But not even the same. Like, everything's different on this. I don't even know if you could use the precision on this. That's quite a bit different. So I was hoping maybe I could use that as a reference, because these actually go all the way from one side to the other side. Precisions don't. And unfortunately, my fucking new used eBay panels didn't have them on there that I could reference either, which really fucking sucks. Man, I wish I fucking had those on there, but we'll figure it out. It's always guerrilla warfare, Shaun4BigBlocks, especially when we got half-ass fucking instruction videos where people leave out all the hard shit, like Precision does. There's the second one. I don't have my tripod with me. Story of my life. So we're doing it this way. Whenever I need to use 2 hands, you're going on pause. But yeah, I got one started. Just going to come in with the nose. Work it out. Once you get to that point, it's easy. But yeah, it's good quality steel on that. Except for I don't have fucking holes for it. As a matter of fact, I can't even say the holes don't line up. The holes aren't there. There's one hole here, okay? Absolutely, positively fucking nothing other than this huge hole and this huge hole. God, I wonder if this is even going to work. And then the fucking staple holes, which they do tell you to take out the staple holes, but I'm going to tell you right now, that motherfucker's not fitting in a staple hole. And I would have waddled out my hole, but none of them lined up. None of my staple holes. And why would they? That's on an assembly line. That's freehand. I guarantee you will not find the same fucking staple hole orientation on another fucking panel. That's going to be specific to panels. Especially because I could tell, because they're you could just tell it wasn't done, you know, by a machine. It wasn't fed through on something all jigged up and all that. Maybe on newer cars in today's day and age, but not in the 80s, especially on a budget S10 economy truck. Okay, so now that we got those little alignment tabs off, what is nice, you got that little overhang there. So at least you can get it orientated on this axis, okay? But as far as this axis, it would have been really fucking nice if they made that corner line up with the edge. And the same over here. Definitely not what it looked like in their video, except for, wait a minute, you never got to see that close up. They never wanted to fucking put it on there and then show you close up, did they? No, that's another one of those edits, even though they got extra hands and probably $1 million tripods. So yeah, I got to figure out, do I center it like that, or do I bump it up, or do I go back? My guess is we're going to center it, but I'm going to actually put it in the door and just kind of see how it looks and try to feel it out. And then I'm going to use 2 C-clamps, one there and one there to hold it in place. We'll go ahead and drill it out. I'm not going to use a number 30 drill bit because all I got's regular jobbers. They picked the most uncommon fucking size. Now, don't get me wrong. I should have a set of everything, but I don't. I don't. So what do you think? Maybe 5/16 or something? We'll see when I get to that point. Okay, I just learned something that makes life a lot fucking easier. What's that, Shaun for Big Blocks? Well, when I took it off, I got sun damage. I got sun damage, or whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean, discoloration. Bam, I got an edge. So I know right where to line it up. Seeing as though everything fits like the factory one, and it pushes all the way forward. So if I would have centered that motherfucker, I would have been coming back and trimming with it already in, because you know you don't want to drill these holes again. I mean, you could. You'd probably end up doing that, but yeah, that lines up. So that little right there, that little 90, boom, you can see with my thumbnail where the discoloration is, where it covered it up. And the rest is sun faded. I got lucky. But yeah, when I put it on, I mean, it's crammed as far forward as it can go. And it actually lines up pretty good with this. So I think we're going to be in good shape. I'm not going to test fit it. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in. Because really, test fitting that's going to be a bitch. You know what I mean? It's not like they just pop in and pop off. You got to really fuck with them. So it's like you'd kind of know the orientation, but not entirely. But yeah, this will work this way. If it doesn't, I'm going to fuck it up, and then you're going to learn from my mistake. Alrighty, we're all drilled and riveted in. It's about to be the moment of truth. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So basically, once I got it in the place, every time I drilled it, you could kind of do this and feel like the slightest buckling or deflection where, you know, it meets. So I just squeezed it in, drilled it. I did it one at a time, and I did my 2 centers and then my outers so that it wouldn't want to stray. It actually turned out pretty good. So as far as the clearance here to this little corner, I put my dial caliper on it right there. And from that outer tip to that outer tip, it was right around 10 millimeters. I think it was 10.01. I mean, that's so close. It's 10 millimeters. So if you got 10 millimeters there, and you can pretty much see, it's hard to choke up on this side because it's rounded. Let me try to get square. Get my arm out of there. Come on, shade. How's that? Nah, the phone's gonna... There we go. I got to do it like that, but you can kind of get a feel. All the way butted up there. So, I am actually very, very happy with this. You know, it's hit or miss with precision. God, I wish they weren't called precision unless if they were going to be precise on everything. It's hit or miss. By the way, the 2-clamp, 2-inch works a lot better than the 3-inch. I don't know where my other 2-inch is hiding, but of course I got a million 3-inches and only 2-2-inches. That doesn't help. I got some red 2-inches that are all metal, but they're Not here at the shop, they're at my house. Okay. So to give you an idea, what I did do differently, I used a different size rivet. I used the Harbor Freight kit. It was between that or my little Craftsman assorted rivets, which I didn't have the size they recommended. So what I used was the 5/16 length, still the 1/8 head. And it ended up being a tad shorter, but that might be good because it was long enough in my application. I mean, it's not going anywhere. You could feel it protruding out underneath, but just barely, which is good because this is the lip that's going to catch your car. So I may actually throw a little bit of tape over this because I think that'll vibrate and scratch your vehicle over time. But it's a pain in the ass as it is getting these to slide in and out. So it's like adding that's not going to make it any better. But the quality's good. It's a lot better than the quality that was on that black aftermarket panel right there. But you can kind of see the, let me try to angle into the light. Yeah, I know I should have something on my truck, but as you can tell, it needs a paint job anyways. That's going to be next season. But yeah, it's got a real nice channel. I don't have good lighting to do it justice, but let's pop it on. Let's see what we got going on. For anybody doing this that doesn't have a rivet gun, this is an old one. I think they still make it. It's a Dorman 47999. This is the typical universal one that comes from Asia. It's cheap. I mean, this is probably, I don't know, 15, 20 years old. It was cheap back then, and I think you can get them up to $7 now. I don't know about the Dorman brand, but if it looks like that, let me pull it out. They're just rebadged with different names, but it's all the same tool. That typical generic one. You know, the trick with this, though, there's a spring assembly that you can rip this apart. Sometimes the rivet gets stuck in there, especially if you're doing a lot, and sometimes there's little metal shavings that come off when it pinches it. But you see that little screw right there? There's this whole rotate procedure to get this apart. And I'm not going to show it because there's a video on it, because mine actually did that. So I took it apart and then didn't know about pre-lining this up and all that. And I found a video, but I'm going to link it. If that pin gets rotated, that's your problem. So that pin, there's a little flat notch. It installs in with the notch facing up, but then you got to turn it 25 degrees to the right so the notch faces the spring. And then you're golden. And of course, it'll only load or unload the long shaft part of the pin if this is completely opened up. So hopefully that helps somebody that's not used to riveting. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the door retainers in. I've always used Dormans and shit, you know, basic auto parts store ones. The stock GM ones, they're great. I can't even begin to tell you. I've never really seen them, and I've never gone and paid the dealership premium. And I bet nowadays the dealership's third-partying them anyways. But I actually got the precision twist ones. So you're going to see those in a second. But before you do, I wanted to give you one more view of this, because this is the kind of stuff people leave out that's nice to see. Like, for example, like where this cuts in right here, this actually overlaps the plastic right there. I would never have guessed that if I didn't have sun fade to go by. Maybe if I was a body guy and I did it a lot, I would. And then you could see, you know, you got about a 1/4 inch right there on that blue. But that's kind of how it fits. Come on, Note 9. Clear. Pay for a fucking quality camera and then it does that shit. But let me start putting those pins in. Okay, here's Precision's part number on the door panel clips. They're yellow. But at any rate, these are wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You know what it should look like? It should look like this. I don't give a fuck about the color. But you see that little cutout? Not only does it make it so much easier to get them in and get them out, because you're pretty much going to break that when you go to take it back out, which is what they want, so you buy more next time you take the door panel off, because you're either greasing it or you're fixing the fucking window rollers or the track or all the shit that goes wrong in the door over the years. But at any rate, you notice how there's two levels, that part that goes in the hole and that part, right? Why's that got 3? Because they want that little comfy little fucking gap right there. Now, I'm going to tell you, I've used these before. Not from Precision. Same fucking things, but in white. This is your typical generic fucking penny a dozen fucking piece of shit clips. And that's why it pisses me off, because it means Precision's trying to fucking make a buck. This is capitalism once again, not humanitarianism. Humanitarianism where they're giving a fuck about you, the consumer. And I bought these because they're cheaper, and I've tried them, and from the auto parts stores, and they work, but they never quite snug down because of that right there. They just don't quite snug down right. You'll see what I mean. Not to mention you can't reuse them. You know, if you got a situation like one of my G bodies, I got a window switch. I know every 2 years I'm going to have to fuck with it. And it just sucks to have to always replace these. Because if you use the right tool... Oh, do I have the right tool out? Hold on, please. Actually, I'm just going to insert the picture of it now. If you have the right tool, these things come out pretty effortlessly. Okay, I'll put you on pause. My tool's hiding, but I'll insert a picture of it. This is what I initially used. I literally fucking ganked this from my mom's fucking gardening box when I was like fucking literally a teenager with my first car, my G-body, always having to fuck with my doors and shit inside the doors. Basically because I never got around to doing these things, and it would rain and then the water would get in there, and you know, but at any rate, this will work fine. Especially if you put a little more of a bend on the end. I used that for many years, and then literally probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I got the Harbor Freight tool that I just showed you. But that one does pretty good. You got to worry about scratching shit if you're not careful with the Harbor Freight tool, because they couldn't fucking coat it or rubberize it or anything, but it works. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. So we'll see when the door goes in how happy I am with them. But I guarantee you, this is not going to want to fucking come out without breaking. I can't guarantee you, but go ahead and fucking challenge me if you want. You'll see what I mean. This ain't my first fucking GM 80s door clip fucking rodeo. Motherfuckers. Okay. So I actually tried to just put it in like that. Because it's a blast from the past. I mean, I've known better than to use this style fucking clip for over 20 years now. Not fucking shitting on you. But Precision does say to notch it, so now I'm giving it a notch. I mean, I had pliers and everything, and I could have really forced it after a lot of work, but then I knew it would have to come back out, and this will make it easier to come back out. So we'll see if that's a big enough notch. Alrighty. So we got Precision's little fucking non-precision fucking retaining clips in. You know what? If I gotta fucking notch it out because you're too cheap to buy the ones that are already notched and better designed for my vehicle, I don't think you should put Precision on that. It's not as bad as the fucking molding that didn't fit my windshield, which fortunately I got from somewhere else. That's really good quality. And it's rubber, not PVC. But we got bad news. I kind of messed up. I did the driver's door and we're doing the passenger door. So we're not popping it on yet. I'm going to do everything I just did to that panel or to the passenger one. Alrighty. Back and mocked up on the passenger side. Went ahead and threw a 2x4 under there, since I'm working a little quicker this time, and so it's a little less wobbly, since that armrest area makes it not quite so level. And then just for good continuity, I'm going to go ahead and set this one the same, which just so happens to fit just about the same. Yeah, good way to treat your highly calibrated dials. Okay, so I'm in place, right? And I'll probably snug those up a tad more when I turn the camera off. But like I was telling you about the deflection, see that little movement? Unless if you're going to put 100 of these on, which isn't necessary, you could just kind of pinch that in. And again, start from the center and work your way out. Otherwise, it's going to be cockeyed, or, you know, you want to do that from the center out. You know what? I never showed you the other side. So I just finished this panel. If that gives you any indication with the nice fucking blurry picture, wait a minute. I just remembered if I do that, it may help. Shouldn't have to do that, but okay. This is like a casting flash. And of course it's right in the way. But there you go. There's my rivet holes. There you go. If you wanted to be real nitpicky on it, you could probably come with a razor blade after you drill your holes to make it flat. But I wasn't that picky. But that would be the better, more ideal way to do it. Like I said, these are coming off. I'll have to drill the rivets out, paint my panels if I decide to do that, which I probably will, and then re-rivet them. Okay, lottie-dottie, Weeze likes to potty. We got that shit packed in there. He's going to stir it up. We're going to get that bitch cooking. Yeah, these are fun. You're going to love those. Especially twisting them in. Even with the notch. The bigger the notch, the easier they go in. But the more wobbly they are. I played with the notches a little bit. But, you know what I will tell you? Stock panels were golden. Not only is this like heavy duty plastic, which by the way, when I drilled those 5 holes, I mean, it not like ABS plastic where you just feel like you're fucking drilling through butter. I mean, it took a few seconds, and I got good drill bits. But, oh, there's one of my little souvenirs. Don't know how that got there. But, on these cheap fucking ABS motherfuckers, it's sealed. So not only is this extremely flexible, but if anything you break's going to fall in there. And if you can't pick that shit out, you're going to get that little annoying rattle sound when you drive. Especially if you're like me and you got a 1,000-watt stereo system, you know. Just trust me, every little fucking thing with a stereo system you hear. Whereas on these, see how they're all open? Each one's open. It's so fucking burly, it doesn't even need to have a whole 25% of it's not even walled. That tells you something. Okay, we're putting her on. Got this grinded off. I'll make this look prettier later, just out of being OCD when I paint them this summer. And definitely I'm going to put the other clips back in, unless if these blow my mind with how good they work. Okay, you know what? Before I put the door panel on, there's something else I want to show you. Because remember, this isn't really a how-to on door panels. I'm just kind of going over shit, the quirky shit. And this is actually an 82 S10 with 92 doors, okay? For my 92 donor truck, which I have a whole lot of Frankenstein scary stories. You'd be amazed in a 10-year difference how many things changed. And I don't mean just the obvious stuff like the door panels. I mean, even shit like that used to be made out of metal that's made out of plastic. Like that little fucking vacuum diaphragm for the HVAC system and the type of connectors and everything. Everything's different. But at any rate, this is what came on these doors. Okay? Which I have those for sale. I don't know if they'll be sold at the time of this video. Hopefully, if I remember, I'll put still for sale in the crotch box or for sale, because it's a really nice set of gray ones for anybody who wants them. Really nice. I'm sticking with my 82, and they're specific to what dash you use. So see how that comes out? And I'm trying to, yeah, that was the only one. You don't have that on this, because you got the 1, 2, 3, 4 with the bezel trim once I put the door on, which you'll see in a second. So for a while I had my door panels off while I was doing all my shit, and it's like, these are wobbly. So I basically just threaded this into a hole I found, and then, with the washer, just kind of had it lightly on there just so it wouldn't jiggle too much. But if, you weren't easy on it, it would slide. But yeah, when I did the doors, I guess if you want to call it a door conversion, I mean, it wasn't rocket science. Everything's pretty much the same except for that. I have not found any other door differences. I really thought this was going to be maybe longer after those stanchions on the door panels, but I've already confirmed they're the same. Same replacement part. Checked it against Rock Auto, meaning if you wanted to replace this crank assembly for a manual window. Granted, electric, it's totally different. You're on your own on that. I haven't seen if they're the same, but I'm pretty sure they are. But yeah, Rock Auto, AutoZone, fucking O'Reilly's, Advance, I was checking everything. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that. So I'm going to go ahead and screw this out now. And then tuck this back, and then we'll go ahead and pop it on there. Okay, I'm having some technical difficulties. This one blindsided me. I thought I checked all this, but obviously I didn't check it good enough. A much different bracket for the 82 through 85. And this bracket needs to go somewhere in this vicinity. And I just checked my other door, because that one's a donor from a 92 also. And it doesn't have the fucking slots in the door. So I'm going to have to start fucking around. That really sucks, man. That's going to be a bitch to line that up. Okay, so still on the passenger side here. And I got a game plan. It's a son of a bitch, but it's doable. So on the roof of my truck, I got the 1982 foam, which helped out because that all pretty much lines up the same. And it's got the little indentions like this one has, only for the different bracket. So what I figured out, try to get this to stay out of the way here, is this. Of course, my arm's got to be right in the light. This has to go like, okay, the other one, the right bolted here and the left bolted over here, and you had these two slots. Well, they reversed it. So it's literally going to have to go, this right one goes here. You got to make a slot right there, just to the left of the right mounting hole on the 92 door. This is bullseye, and this lines up literally about 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters from the right. So I can literally either use weld nuts or weld in a square nut or something like that, which I'll probably for now just throw some 1/4 inch fasteners, real short, like 1/2 inch, because it shouldn't get in the way of anything. So the biggest pain, I guess, is just slotting this out. So an air nibbler would make that a real easy job. I don't own an air nibbler yet. It's on my Christmas list. But I'm going to have to do that. And it's late at night. And the parts store is closed. And I don't think I have the hardware on hand that I need. So that's kind of a bummer. Thought it was a done deal, but I should have double checked that earlier. You know, I remembered it being different, but it's been a while since I ripped them apart. So the other thing, you know, doing my final double check, the vent. So I'm going to cut that out on the plastic and go ahead and leave that vent functional. I'm getting tired. And I'm a little upset. That's the kind of shit that just fucking sucks, you know. Plus, I got to find my other bracket. I misplaced it. And I really hope it didn't get thrown out on the old door. Normally, I would keep the old shit until this was done, but I got into a storage situation and shit had to go. It was just kind of like that. And that was like a year ago. So, yes, I'm going to bead blast it and paint it when I do the door panels. Also, looking closer, there's that little divot right there. And I just looked at everything really close. That's dead center. So I got to take this and I got to slot it out. I'm just going to make it if I go to the edge of this, because I'd rather not knock that out. If for any reason I ever wanted to switch panels in the future or whatever. I mean, if I ever saw some nice black doors, I'd probably grab them. 82 through 85. Just because I can't remember if I already showed you, but there's no bolt hole there. That one's actually riggable. That one you could add some shit, and I'll do that this summer too, because it's got the outside panel and it holds pretty good. But I forgot to, I think, to point that out. So yeah, between how this bolts on and this fucker right here. So yeah, that's simple. Why couldn't they have slotted that? Those fucking cocksuckers, man. You know what I mean? You ever been in that situation? And fucking come on, man. That's for Fowler. Well, we got a little bit of progress. Basically, I decided I didn't have a small enough cutout wheel. I didn't have the fucking air nibbler. So I just basically drilled the pilot hole with the size drill bit that fit perfectly through that hole on the little divot. And then I basically just sacrificed the drill bit, and it was a high enough quality, high-speed drill bit, high-speed steel, that I basically just rasped it. I just kept moving over. Like, well, let's see, I had to do 2 more pilots to the right, and I think 3 to the left, and then I just cleaned them up, and I rasped it. Doesn't look beautiful, but it's good enough for now. I could come back with the die grinder and fix it up, but really it's just important that I get this to fit, which now that's a done deal. Everything lines up. The issue is something's different still because of that. It's level right now, but look. So now is when I really wish I had my factory doors, because I can just fit my fingers through there. So I don't know if that's supposed to be shimmed, like if they welded a nut or what. And I really need to see how it was on the factory. I guess I could kind of leave it that way and check door panel fitment. It would have been nice if I didn't already put the fucking yellow retainer clips in, but I can use, no, I can't use my old panel. Yeah, I might be able to. I was going to say the one's totally trash for the passenger side, but we'll figure it out. Okay. I wanted to have that little bit of extra play, so I went 1 more pilot over all the way to the corner, which is what I said I was going to do and should have done in the first place. This nut sticks out, I don't know, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, but it's almost like that could be the little bit that's not letting it come down. Now, when it comes down all the way, it's not perfectly level, but it may not need to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to notch out on the armrest bracket right where that is, which I can use my rasp for, because the rasp will fit this. So that's what I'm going to do. Right in here, I'm going to take a little bit off. Okay, fortunately with my buddy, my high quality carbide rasp that takes a fucking beating and never doles out, ironically, I was able to notch it out, but it didn't really help much. But I can rule it out. So now I know I got the space. So now it's just building that up, playing with the door panel. Probably gonna have to take the fucking yellow clips out. Test it, test it, test it. But at least it's gonna be doable. Okay, so we're not shimmed yet. We still got our gap. Well, I decided I'm gonna take the correct door panel, take the fucking yellow retainer clips out, and we're gonna fucking do it right and put it on there, and then try to shine the light through the holes, and with everything in position, maybe see how much this sticks out, you know? And we'll just use washers or a fucking bushing or some shit. We'll figure it out. Can't believe this is going on, GM. You couldn't do that? I mean, don't get me wrong. This is Shaun for Big Blocks. You know, most of the shit we do here isn't just going to bolt off and bolt right on. Bolt it off and bolt right on. But, you know, when it comes to blind fucking brackets, come on, man. You know, that's not the kind of challenge I'm looking for. But I'll accept it. Alrighty. It looks like we're in pretty good shape. I do not have to squeeze that bracket down, which you're probably not going to be able to see. But I'll do my best flashlight trickery. Maybe if I go in from the other hole. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. You can't really see it. But at any rate, there's plenty of room in here. So you don't have to push it down. And I was able to take my my 5-finger discount from Mom gardening tool. Actually, Mom never gardened. I did all the gardening. But it was her tool. And push it down. And it didn't change this up here. It makes it drop here, but not up here. So I think I want to go ahead and keep the orientation where it is. I have a feeling that one little bubble on the inside used to be flat on the 82 through 85. And that's why I'm getting that gap. Because, oh, I need that flashlight again. I'm also off on my holes. Now, granted, that could be a number of things. I mean, I'm not using original panels. I don't know. All I could tell you is that if I pull back on it, boom, there's my holes. It's only by maybe a quarter of an inch, maybe not even. So literally, I'm just going to re-drill the holes. Well, no, I won't re-drill the holes because I like the way those holes are made. They used like a special little punch tool the way they did that. So what I'll do is I will slot these out. And then if I have to, I'll just use washers. But I'm pretty sure it's a washer head fastener. But it's going to work. So I'm in good shape. But it's late. Fortunately for you, things will be that quick. Because I'll slipstream it. But I'm going to bed and I got to get some hardware tomorrow. Alrighty. Just got back from the hardware store. And I got some 1/4-inch mounting bolts. So we're just going to kind of jimmy it. But I hit it with the wire wheel. And then what I couldn't get to, I just really quick hit it with the wire brush. Rubbed a little bit of WD-40 into it. And then next year when I paint these panels, or I should say in the summer, I'll go ahead and fucking bead blast it and make it nice. Really, I should powder coat that. But at any rate, okay, so here's how your bracket fits. When you do it this way, let me go back over here. As you can see, I'm all prepped, right? I already have these holes. And I had to make this one right here, which looks like shit, but it'll work. See how this has like a bump? It's like convex. that's flat on the 82 through 85. I'm almost 99% sure because that's making this fit out about a ½ an inch, which is why we're going to have to shim some washers. So I'm going to go bolt, probably like 3/4 of an inch, washers, lock nut, nut. And of course I don't want it sticking out too much because I don't want it to hit the window. I don't think it's going to, but still, you know, we don't want 2 inches fucking hanging out. But because this is offset to like here, these holes are not going to line up. And I verified with my cheapy replacement panels, the piece of shit motherfuckers, and they line up perfectly with these, with the old setup. Like, meaning the blue panel and the black panel, I'm going to have to drill holes right about where my finger is. You know, because the whole thing's a ½ inch forward, this has to be a ½ inch back. And that fucking sucks because those are nice little holes. They're made for that, you know. So I'm going to have to basically drill a little pilot hole. I'll use probably a self-tapper or a regular screw, depending on how it goes. But I'm going to go ahead and throw that on there. Okay, on that left side, the 1/4 inch hardware does not fit that slot. It's literally right on the edge there. So you either need to drill it for it to fit, or I just rasped it out. Didn't take a whole lot. I probably could have cranked it with a ratchet and forced it through with the threads, but I didn't want to. Especially since I'm half-assing it with the washers, since I have not yet made a bushing for it. Okay, we all good. Firm as Aunt Jemima's titties, right? I can close the door all day long and that's not going to come out. So, ended up using 1/4 by 20 on the thread pitch, standard hardware store bolts. And this is just a 1/16 over a ½ of an inch, which came out to about 9/16 worth of washers, 8 1/4 inch standard hardware store washers. And I basically counted out the washers so that I'd only have a couple of threads sticking from behind so it wouldn't catch anything, or even, you know, my arm going down there for future maintenance. But doing it that way, I was able to use a 1 inch bolt. The 3/4 was just a little bit too short. Like, yeah, you could push this in, but the more you pushed it in, the more this wanted to angle down. So even with how I did it with the 8, it just slightly angled down, like maybe a 32nd of an inch that it pulled in, which actually is kind of good because it puts some pressure up here. But I mean, she's fucking solid, you know. Went ahead and cut out my little flappers, that little vent right there. So now I think we are good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw some tape over my old holes just for continuity. And then I think we'll be in good shape. Alrighty, we are all set for the panel. Okay, so first thing I want to point out, the 82 through 85 foam, it's a little bit different. On the 86 and up, the clip is like, the center clip's like right in this area, okay? Where you can see on this foam, right there, okay? But on the 82 through 85, it's right there. Which actually, my clips, granted I need a middle one, but these would be too big. It's got to be small because this comes up above here. So you need a clip that's like maybe 3/4 of an inch of a head. And then on the right one, it moved more to the left. It's more like over here on the 82 through 85. See that? So that's number one. Number two, if you're going to do my method, granted, ideally, it'd be nice to just, you know, weld in a couple of nuts so you don't have to worry about it. I realized after I put this on, the foam's got to go down first because this pinches over the foam. Now, you could cut the foam out, but I'll tell you what, this is factory and it holds the foam in place. You know what I mean? It's much better. So I ended up having to peel this back, because remember, to get to the back of these that are all rigged, you got to be able to put your hand through that hole right there. So I just basically flipped the foam back, flipped that back, you know, and I had to re-put it on. So what would have made this easier, you know how we have 9/16 sticking out? Let's just say 1/2 inch. That's close enough. I would say use a combination of washers and then use a nut and put these onto the bracket first. Now, granted, it may be a little hard to line into your holes, but make studs. Just make sure that all this back here with the nut and the washers stays about 9/16. But that would have been easier. At this point, I didn't grab extra nuts. And my bin stock is 2 miles away, and it wasn't that bad. I just did it this way. But we're firm. We're together. Flappers are cut out. And I think we're in good shape to put a door panel on. What do you think? Yeah, I think so. So there you go. That's a 82 through 85 setup rigged onto an 86 and up door. That's a 92 donor door. Alrighty, I almost got the door panel on, but I ran into one more issue. The bottom two yellow things that go right there, the retainer tabs, they don't line up with the 86 and up doors. They're in different positions, so you're going to have to drill those out. Basically prep it like I got it right now, mark it, and then drill them out. Let me see if I can show you what I mean here. With the flashlight. Okay, so there's the one, right? And the cutout for it would have been, well, let's see, there's one cutout. Boy, that's hard to hold the camera and do that. One of them's, I think, right there. Oh, it's right there. Okay, so there's one cutout. And then the other cutout. Boy, that is so hard to record. There I am. It's like right over here. Yeah, but they're off. You'll see what I mean. So take those. This would actually be a good thing to use tape. You could pull back on the door panel, put a little bit of grease on that tip, and then bam, you know, right where it is. So what I'm going to do, actually, you could get a Sharpie up there. I know the position, so I'm going to make sure that that feels like it's centered because you got some play on those. Mark it with the Sharpie, and then when I rip it apart in a few months to paint them, I can go ahead and drill that out. Okay, we got the panel on. I didn't drill those two, so we got a little wobble in the middle. And it sticks out about 1/4 inch. In a way, I wish I would have just popped it off and done those two, but I had already been walking the dog. I got these top two in, and that's another thing I realized. After everything got lined up, that middle one there's not lined up. That hole's got to be drilled about 1/4 inch lower. Ah, are you not on? That would help. About 1/4 inch lower. So you can kind of see where the, yeah, there you go. So I got that gap because of that one. Also, remember how I was talking about cutting off the stanchions? You can see, look how much that fucking buckles in to get that to fit, you know? And keep in mind, in order to take that off, I do the knee method because I don't have an assistant, but you got to be able to do that. If you're not able to do that, you're not going to get it off. So it's like, I don't know what's up with these panels. We're back to that shit again because I'm fucking confused. But it works. And other than people like you guys who know because I fucking told you, it's not that noticeable. But we're in good shape. We made it work. Now I just got to find the pretty little Torx screws where I put that baggie to put that trim piece on. and I'll be in good shape. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to show you. Because this right here was buckled out because of the clip, when I went to put the armrest screws in, it was pretty damn close. Like they were on a slight angle in, but then once I started getting it threaded, I was able to push pressure and make it straighten out. So that just may work. I mean, we'll see if that lined up, if that would pull itself back. But if that's the case, I would put the armrest first and then try to push this and hope you get that little bit of buckle. But that would be a fucking trifecta if that worked. I'm not even going to lie. Okay, here's my driver's door. Pretty much the same thing, okay? No changes. But what I did notice after I did my passenger door, the clips don't line up. So on the lower door panel clips, the far left one and the far right one line up, okay? Now on the newer panels, you get one in the center, but if you look closely, there's these little divots that are lined up, okay? You got to drill those out with a 17/64 drill bit, because on the old panels, you know, 82 through 85, it's got these two instead of just having the one. So I don't know, I guess GM had to save that 5 cents per clip, you know, times 100 million of them. But figured I'd show you that. I had my panel all set and ready, popped it on, and realized I couldn't get my bottom one to pop in. So I wanted to show you that. Okay, on my passenger foam, I still had it. Not on my drivers. Whoever, you know, serviced the door prior to me owning the vehicle, they said, I'm not going to take the time to put the foam back in. So this is a late model foam, you know, 86 through 92. Basically, the whole handle moves. So it's from about there to about there. So if you're like me and you got to salvage a foam from the junkyard and you probably won't find an 82 through 85 foam, you can use the late model. You just got to cut that out. And then you're also going to see that these are going to mount a little differently. Okay, so I cut it out. I probably should have been a little more tedious about it, but I'm kind of in a hurry. But there you go. You can see how much over from the impressions of the late model bracket it was. The upper right hole is there, okay? The upper left hole is not there, so you would have to drill it. And then as far as the hole right here, it's also not there. That one's got a divot though, that can be drilled out. Let me just put a punch through there and make sure it's just a divot and not a hole. I should have pre-fitted this beforehand. Nope, there's a hole. So you're good to go on this one. As you can see, that would fit into place. But this one, there's definitely no hole there. Definitely not. Okay, I lied. There is a hole for the top one. I just had to push a little bit harder. So no drilling needed. They are in different spots, but the holes are there. But I do remember when I compared these foams on the passenger side, there were different mounting points.